It's the morning after the night before. The season is well underway. One game gone now. And if Carlsberg made footballing weekends or opening games of the season after Arsenal losing to Brentford on Friday night, Spurs beating the champions yesterday at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in front of an electric Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. I was obviously there yesterday and it really was electric. The performance was there to match it. And I think that Nuno and the team gave everyone what they fully deserved after so long of it felt like yesterday that we got our Tottenham back in terms of the way I think we played to our DNA yesterday.
Yeah, had no fear. We didn't care who we faced. We had a go. And that's what I loved about yesterday. It was fantastic to see the energy, the aggression, the lack of fear in the opposition back at the very top of our priorities. Don't get me wrong, there was a bit of pragmatism to the performance. It wasn't gung-ho, but it was controlled attacking. And that's what I liked about it. The front three were electric throughout the 90 minutes. The midfield three worked like absolute dogs. They were absolutely brilliant throughout the whole
team
game.
worked like dogs.
The back four was as solid as anything, solid as a brick wall. And I'm so proud of what I saw yesterday. Yeah. And hopefully that's kind of the benchmark we hit. Obviously, it's important to remember we kind of acknowledged pre-game. It was a good time to face City, and we probably saw that yesterday. Although they started the game strongly, they kind of waned quite badly as the game wore on. And I think that definitely has to do with, you know, lack of preparation, pre-season training, all that kind of stuff. But you can only play the team that's put in front of you. And, you know, City, even when they're half fit, have more than enough ability to wipe the floor with you.
That City team yesterday is still a multi-million pound team, you know what I mean?
Most expensive team in Premier League history.
Well, there you go. So I think that I was so proud of the team yesterday, so proud of the fan base yesterday as well. And I think that there's one player who I think really stole the hearts of the fans. That's Japhet Tanganga yesterday. I mean, for me, it felt like it was a coming-of-age performance from him yesterday. The way he just controlled that right-hand side, the way he dealt with Sterling, the way he dealt with a lot of the other City players in the midfield there yesterday. I thought that he was so strong, so physical. And I was just so proud of him yesterday because there was all this talk about him going on loan, potentially going to Galatasaray, and, you know, with the other right-backs in the squad of Doherty and Aurier. That performance yesterday from Japhet Tanganga is better than anything we've seen from Aurier or Doherty in the last year or two.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Especially defensively, I think that's one of the best defensive performances, not just from our right backs, but from a lot of right backs in the Premier League. I can tell you that. The amount of one-on-ones he had to contend with throughout the game, and he was just taking absolutely no prisoners. He set the tone very early on, sticking it to Grealish, sticking it to Sterling, committing a few fouls, letting him know that he ain't going to be bullied. They ain't going to find it easy today. And I think he set the tone from minute one and carried it on pretty much until he went off on the 80th minute. I thought he was absolutely sensational. The way he, from a player of his age, to deal with that many one-on-ones throughout a game, especially against such high quality players, and to deal with it so effectively without any hint that he was ever going to get beaten. I don't think he got dribbled past once. They couldn't handle him. Sterling, he was like a rash on Sterling. Sterling couldn't get away from him throughout the whole game. He just couldn't get away from him. He didn't know what to do, Sterling. Could go inside, go outside. He couldn't get away from him. And he was absolutely exceptional. I thought, to be fair, he was a bit lucky, I thought, not to get booked. He did commit a lot of fouls.
Three big fouls there he had.
Yeah, not necessarily. I don't think there was any one specific foul that was a booking, but I think it was...
It's accumulation,
really, it was persistent fouling. You get booked for persistent fouling. So I thought that was probably... He got lucky in the first half not to get... But I think he got 2 final warnings. I think he got quite lucky. But other than that, to be as controlled as he was throughout that whole second half, he knew one foul and he's in the book, and he didn't commit one foul. He was controlled. I think the aggression he had in the first half, he kind of had that control in the second half to kind of calm himself down, but still be as effective in defensive situations. I just got to say he was absolutely brilliant. Big props to him. I was one of the fans who would have thought, you know, could he be our starting right back for us? And I questioned it, but now I'm looking at it and thinking, look, I still think there are question marks because there are different games give different problems. And whether, you know, if we're in a game where he has to use the possession on the ball effectively and has to be effective in the final third to really make a difference. In those kind of games, there are still question marks. But in these kind of games, I've got no problem putting him in against the top six now. No problem.
The thing is, though, have we seen this from Japhet before? Because he came in his first game against Liverpool and he completely pocketed Mane that game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was a top Liverpool side at full throttle. So I think that we've seen that Tanganga can come up against these players, can come up against the best. But it was all about, for me, I think it's all about him showing that consistency and getting a run of games and seeing if he can replicate it game on game on game on game on game on. So I think we have seen a performance of that high level before from him, haven't we?
I don't think as good as this, to be honest, because I think in the other games he was probably more protected than he was. I thought yesterday, like, they literally left him Moura and Højbjerg did help him out a bit, but not as much as the help he was getting in the other games, like against Liverpool, like where I felt like he was getting covered a lot more effectively. In this game, the amount of pressure on him to in those one-on-one situations to carry on not getting beat, and then not only that, getting the tackles in and then setting up counter-attacks for Lucas, who was staying quite high up the pitch throughout the game, because we had to if we're going to be effective on the counter-attack. That's kind of the risk element that that kind of had to be put into this game if we were going to be really effective, because the big problem we had maybe last season under Mourinho was that because the wingers were so deep, yes, we could win the ball back, but whenever we won the ball back, we never were effective on the counter-attack, or only effective a couple of times a game, because we were usually so deep in our own half that Lucas or Son had to pick the ball up literally halfway through our own half and then set up in a counter-attack. That's why when we had counters, we would only really have 2 or 3 a game which were effective. Against City yesterday, there was 5, 6, 7 opportunities because we were so far up the pitch when we won the ball back, we could spring very, very quickly. And I think Tanganga had a lot of pressure on him because of that fact, because the attackers were so high up the pitch. So I think before, it was maybe a different dynamic. But yesterday, maybe we saw that element where the coach could maybe trust him to defend by himself and not have like his hand holded in that sense, and that could be a very effective way we can kind of counter-attack.
What's what happens when you put trust and faith in someone, you know? Dark Sun G with the super chat here saying Tanganga totally owned Grealish and Sterling, which was really impressive. He barely had Premier League experience against very experienced player. Tanganga right back for the
Future?
FTW, I don't know what that means, but
future.
Is that what it means?
Forward.
Future.
FTW? I think he means future.
Well, yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming from, that's for sure. I got a super chat here from Richard Black Dog, and he says, new to Spurs store, Tanganga shorts, comes with 2 pockets, one for Sterling and one for Grealish. And a super chat here from Rejan Bresnica, just with no comment, just a super chat, so thank you very much there.
And Ben Bailey as well. He says, great foundation to build on. Passion, grit and desire, with all players showing they want to play for the badge all game. Tanganga and Skip were class.
They were absolutely class.
And that's the standout, those 2 academy graduates coming in against such high-class opposition and doing the team not just proud, but thriving in that team. I thought Skip, talking about Skip for a minute, he did kind of, in the early exchanges, you know, Grealish was skipping past him a couple times. He was caught out of position. You're thinking, is this going to be a long day for Skip? But not only was, even when he was kind of being outclassed and stuff, even when he was being skipped past, pardon the pun, he was still giving 100%. He was still making it difficult. He was still kind of there to be dribbled past, if you understand. He was still kind of in that position to make it difficult for Man City. And then not only that, when he did grow into the game and he was starting to get tackles in and he was starting to get his foot on the ball, then he had that confidence to not get overrun, and then he advanced into the game to not only just making it difficult for Man City, for all of a sudden he was thriving in the game were next to Højbjerg. And I feel like him and Højbjerg next to each other really created a solid base for us. And not only did it help, Skip having Højbjerg there, I think it helped Højbjerg having Skip there as well.
Agree.
I think Højbjerg really started to thrive big time.
I agree.
And on that right-hand side, he had a lot more license to go forward. You saw Højbjerg. He had a lot more confidence in himself to come into midfield and not just hang back all the time. And he never, not one point, did you see Højbjerg overrun? Like how many times you saw that last season?
It wasn't just the Skip and Højbjerg relationship that helped that happen. It was Dele Alli as well. Dele Alli was absolutely superb yesterday. You got to say. I mean, I've seen a lot of comments saying that's the most accomplished Dele Alli performance we've seen in midfield for a very, very, very long time. And you got to agree with that. Dele Alli was absolutely superb. It's not the exactly classic Dele Alli performance what you're used to seeing, but the way he was getting in and amongst it, putting himself about it, being physical, non-stop running the whole game. The amount of running he did yesterday.
Most of anyone on the pitch.
I think it was 11 kilometers or something like that. Like, he was absolutely on a mission yesterday, Dele Alli. And it seems as though he really is trying to knuckle down now. And that is the Dele Alli we love to see. That is the Dele Alli we absolutely love to see.
I think yesterday could be the first step in Dele Alli reinventing himself.
That's what I thought.
And that's what he needs to. That's what he needs to do, because I don't think he can perform anymore like he used to under Mourinho or even under Poch. I don't think he can do that anymore. Just having that free role, having other people do the running for him. I think that time has been and gone for him now. He needs to be able to contribute as much as anyone on the pitch. We can't take any passengers anymore. And I think Dele's realised that. Nuno's maybe realised that with him as well. And it was interesting to hear Nuno after the game saying, look, Dele's a runner. He can be no problem. He can be a box-to-box midfielder, and we just need to utilise that as a team. It was very interesting to hear Nuno say that, and I think we saw that yesterday. Look, in terms of his on-the-ball quality, Dele didn't see as much as we're used to seeing from that. You know, we didn't see many through balls or shots on goal, things like that. But what he did do was he hassled, he harried, he nicked the ball off Gundogan and Fernandinho and Grealish, and he made it extremely, extremely difficult for Man City to play their football. And it created a platform for Son, Bergwijn and Lucas to run into space, create openings, and hurt Man City where they were hurt most, and that was in space.
Yeah.
And that was exactly what Dele allowed the team to do. He sacrificed himself for the team yesterday.
He made
Dele.
the compromise like Jose Mourinho was asking him to do for 2 years.
Well, I think Nuno's finally. Look, it's one game, but hopefully Nuno's finally getting that out of him. And it's a stark difference. You know, a year ago, opening day of last season against Everton, he's in the free role. He's behind the striker, looking to create things. Gets taken off at half time, and what a difference this performance was from Dele.
And we've seen a lot of talking from Dele over the years, being like, oh, I need to be better, and working on things, and what he needs to do to get back to his best or get back into the team and whatever. And we saw him doing a lot of fitness work over the summer, with Kyle Walker-Peters on his Instagram. He came back to the new season. Nuno said he came back super, super fit, and we saw that on the pitch yesterday.
Yeah, he did.
Not just him, but the whole team were absolutely non-stop for minute one till right till the end, and we were growing and growing and growing right until the end of the game. We really were. We just got better and better and better. A big up, bring him home for the massive super chat saying happy with Sonny. So thank you so much for that. It really means a lot to us. And there was a couple more I need to find here from Crocodile saying, great game yesterday. My only worry is how long can this intensity be maintained? This level of effort will be hard to maintain throughout a whole season. You're not wrong there. You're not wrong, but it's all about managing it against different teams. And when you're playing against a Man City, you have to be like that for 90 minutes. You have to.
Yeah, that's the thing. Look, I think when you're playing against Man City, especially when it was a good time to play them, you have to temper your expectations a bit. I was so proud and happy from what I saw yesterday, but as we've said before, different games bring different problems, and we've seen. Look, Nuno, even at Wolves, he had a great record against Man City. It doesn't mean just because he beat Man City, he would then play, Burnley the next week and lose. You know what I mean? It's not as simple as, you can play that well against Man City, you can do that every game. So we need to make sure we're still patient with this project. And we need to make sure that as much as this is just a platform right now from what we can build on, but it's not what we should expect every game just yet. Right now in our first season under Nuno. So I think as much as I'm proud and I'm delighted with what I saw, we still need to keep our feet on the ground for the time being. But what I would say is, Nuno's definitely brought something to this team and to the fans as well that has been missing for a while.
Yeah.
And I think that togetherness that we saw yesterday, we haven't seen that in the team for sure. For at least look, there was a time under Mourinho where it seemed like that.
Probably the first bit of last season.
Yeah, probably at least 8 months when, December, I would say, since like December last year when we had that win against City. It was a different kind of performance.
That time, basically.
Yeah, it was a different kind of performance, but there was definitely togetherness in that game. And we defended very deep, but there was a different kind of togetherness. But now, everyone's working for each other to make sure that we don't have to defend as much as we did under those Mourinho days. Everyone's pressing a lot harder at the pitch, being more aggressive, and it's a lot easier on the eye, that's for sure.
That's the thing. I was going to mention that the last couple of times we've beaten City at the Tottenham Stadium, this one just felt so much more comfortable than any of them. I think that when you cast your mind back a year when we beat them 2-0 and Gio scored, or the one time before that when Bergwijn scored, I think that Man City had so many chances in both of those games. Chance after chance after chance, save after save, great defensive display after great defensive display. And yes, our defensive display was good, but Lloris was hardly tested yesterday. I think he made about one save throughout the whole game that I can really, like a standout save from De Bruyne in the last, 15 minutes or so.
Yeah,
that was it.
5 yards as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, in terms of deserving to win, I thought we were by far the better side in the game yesterday.
And imagine having a 1-0 lead against Man City and being comfortable. You can't envisage that. And that's exactly, for the last 5 minutes of the game, going to stoppage time, there were 4 minutes stoppage time. Usually, you expect City to be, pen us in our own half and us to be hanging on for dear life. But that's not what happened. We were playing in their half. We were pressing. We weren't afraid to press them in stoppage time. We weren't afraid to still get in their faces, still be aggressive with them. We didn't say, oh, it's the last minute, so we all have to pen back now and be stuck in our own box. We were still brave in those last few minutes to get in their half, to get players in their half, and not be afraid to press them. And it showed in the last minute, I believe. We were penning them in their corner, in their corner. We were kind of trying to keep it, and then what happened? The worst thing happened was which they start a counter attack. But then there's Sanchez, there's Skip, there's Dele, all going in for sliding challenges, making sure by hook or by crook we are stopping them from getting in our half, and we're not going to allow them to start this attack. And it absolutely worked for us, and the bravery was so refreshing to see, and
the fitness was so refreshing to see.
And the
as
fitness,
well.
we seemed to completely outlast them, which was brilliant. I think again, pre-season we had a longer pre-season than them, so that probably, and the team we played was pretty much the team we've been playing the whole of pre-season, so that definitely helped a lot with the fitness aspect. But you just got to say it was lovely to see Spurs finish the game strongly.
It was,
and the whole second half pretty much we were on top of them, which was really really refreshing, and I loved every minute of it, and it was such a great performance.
The movement from the front line yesterday was just so exquisite. Lucas was unbelievable yesterday.
What a performance!
What a performance from Lucas Moura. All the Moura sexuals out there.
Yeah, John was on the hype team.
I'm sure he was. Steven Bergwijn, I know he missed that big chance at 1-0. But I think that even Steven Bergwijn put in a really big shift for the team yesterday, non-stop running. Heung-min Son, out of the three, he was probably the worst of the three, but he still had a really good performance.
Yeah.
Everyone on that team put that compromise in for the team yesterday, and you could see it. We were growing and growing throughout that game yesterday, and I just want to see more of that. I want to see more of that. We talked about before a ball was kicked, before pre-season was kicked, we talked about Nuno and what he can bring to a football side, and that's exactly what he can bring to a football side.
Yeah, and that's why I said before the game. I think if you see in the preview, what I said is not only is what's more important. Not only is it important, us get signings or whatever, but I think what could really be the difference between us having a decent season and a great season is how Nuno can improve what we already have. That's the key, because as I said, we have a lot of quality which has been underutilized and maybe hasn't performed to their best for a while now. And we have a lot of untapped quality and untapped potential in this squad. And I thought we saw a glimpse of that yesterday, at least a glimpse of what can be. And I think Lucas if you look at his heat map or his average position, very, very central still, even though he played on the right, which he did. You had Højbjerg covering the wide positions. You had Tanganga occasionally helping him out as well in the wide positions, which meant Lucas, when we're on the counter-attack, was very central, and that clearly is where he's his most dangerous, because he doesn't mind having bodies in front of him. He can go past bodies in his sleep. That's what he's great at. And I think a lot of the time he's being used out wide, and when he beats a man, he's at the byline, and his crossing ability's never been the best and that kind of stuff, and he gets wasted there. But when he's central, when he has the ability to make little through balls, get shots off, dribble in tight areas, that's where he comes alive. And I think we saw that time and time again yesterday, and especially on the counter-attack. Lucas Moura on a counter is deadly. You don't want to be facing Lucas Moura when there's only 3 men at the back there. You know, you need men to try and stifle Lucas. I thought he was a complete menace throughout the whole game. Every time he got the ball, he looks to take people on. He doesn't care if there's 2-3 people in front of him. He will take them on. He will go for it every single time, and that's what he's brilliant at.
And also those like very clever kind of touches of the ball to get the ball moving, like that. The way he kicked it to Steven Bergwijn at the start of the goal. You know what I mean? Like, that was insane.
That was world class. Doesn't get enough attention, that little back heel pass right into Bergwijn's path. Yeah. If that's a bit behind him or a bit too much in front of him, that goal doesn't happen. It was perfect for Bergwijn. To do that, to hook it over your head and to get it perfectly in Bergwijn's path like that is a lot more difficult.
That's a little Brazilian flair in him, you know what I mean?
The only thing I would say is, again, with Lucas, as much as I keep banging on about it, as much as he was great, and I was so happy with his performance yesterday, you know, how many times he got into final third positions and try to pass and overhit it or something like that. Still, he needs to improve that.